Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me on a crisp but beautiful afternoon here in London, where it is collection day of my new BMW M3 Competition. In fact, it's a first for me walking over to BMW Park Lane, just over on the other side of the road, the first time I've ever walked from home to a collection day of a new addition to the garage. Well, it's about a mile or so from home down to the showroom here where my car is awaiting. It will be the first time I've ever even seen it, of course, having been able to drive the M3 Competition recently out in Florida, and we got to see some exclusive behind the scenes footage of this very car being assembled at the BMW Group plant in Munich. Well, it's awaiting us today. Let's go in, let's have the reveal of the new Shmeemobile, the M3 Competition, before taking it straight on out to go for the first drive here in London. Here we are then, welcome to BMW M-Town, where too much is just right. The BMW dealer, I think my car is probably downstairs at the moment, inside the showroom. But what else do we have? Is that an M4 sitting just behind? We've got the full onslaughted lineup of the M models. M8 looking absolutely on point, but let's head straight round then and go in to see if we can find the Shmeemobile and see where it's lurking. And here it is then, downstairs in the handover bay, ready for us to pull these covers back and reveal the M3. Let's come and take a quick sneak peek and check that out as well with the headlights illuminated. Always very cool. Of course, here these very highly discussed kidney grills, the Isle of Man green paintwork, the SH13 MEE plate, the 3 of course for the M3 Competition. Now, let's get this cover pulled off then and have the full reveal. It's time to do this then. I'm gonna have the honors to pull the cover back and reveal this car to you guys, the new Shmeemobile M3 Competition in the Isle of Man green paintwork, looking spectacular. The M3, we're going to go through all of the specs, all of the details, the specific things that I've chosen and opted to have on this car. The 825M wheels, the gloss black calipers, we've got the gloss black exterior, of course we've got the standard carbon roof, we've got the Silverstone and Black leather interior, we've got the carbon fibre inlays, so many more details. This being the Competition is the 8-speed auto rear wheel drive at the moment. The MX drive comes in the future, but check that out. Does that not look incredible? And exactly as I was saying before, on the kidney grills, when you have the plate in place, I think it makes it work completely. You don't get that overwhelming, slightly strange look. Obviously, it's been so much discussed. This car looks awesome. Right, let's have a better look. Let's take a run through then of the full spec of this car, parked here under the lights with a pretty cool backdrop. Kind of reminds me of being back out in the USA, in Utah or something like that. But this is of course the M3 Competition, the M3 being the saloon, the M4 being the coupe. In the UK, we don't get the non-competition model, so you can't have this as a manual. The manual is only the non-competition. In the future as well, there will be the MX drive, the 4-wheel drive, but for the time being, it is the rear-wheel drive, exactly as we have it here. Now, being the competition means you get the gloss black elements, so the gloss black badges, the bootlet spoiler, the diffuser and other sections. Of course, down here, those signature M quad tailpipes, the 2 twins on each side. We've got the gloss black all the way around the lower sections of the car as well. I also opted to have the 825M bi-color wheels, so you can see the diamond turned front faces with the gloss black that you have on the inserts, and chose to opt as well for the gloss black brake calipers. Now this car has a couple of packs on it. The visibility pack, which gives you things like the laser lights. It has the technology plus pack, which gives you the driving assistance, the adaptive cruise control sensor and the likes, and it also has the comfort pack, which gives you comfort access, the keyless entry, as well as the automated boot lid, the power fold boot lid. Then inside we have the upgrade to the bi-colour Silverstone and Schwarz merino extended leather. So we've got the standard seats. You can have those fabulous carbon backed seats, but these are very, very supportive and actually I think slightly better overall for daily driving. We've got the illuminated M3 logos in the headrests. We've got the carbon fibre inlays. I really like this, up through the central console, over on the passenger side of the dashboard, and also around the steering wheel as well. And something I noticed by having that is that you also get these very nice red backed shift paddles on the carbon fibre shift paddles, which I didn't have on the car that I test drove before. That's a really cool flash of red that you have behind there, and obviously we've got the M stitching around the steering wheel. You've got the same stripes on the seat belts as well. Being the M3, there's a decent amount of space back here, finished to the same standard with the extended leather, and we've got the ambient lighting currently on in green, which is very appropriate for this specific car. If I take a quick look, I think the keys are just outside at the moment. 30 miles, brand new car, ready to be driven out for the first time. This is very, very cool, very exciting. Yeah, here it is, M3 Competition. That sounds pretty good actually. So time to take the car on out then and get it ready for the first drive. On the move then. Look at that colour. Right, let's go out. And out it emerges. All right, let's hop on board then and go driving the M3. Here we are then, first time on board my car, which of course has the steering wheel on the other side to the one that I recently drove. But let's get comfortable inside here. There's that new car smell, which is always oh so lovely. And I tell you what, for the startup that we heard downstairs with the car in Sport Plus, it sounded really quite good, to be honest. Anyway, here we are, central London, into drive. Let's go. First little bit of driving in my brand new M3 Competition, literally straight out of the dealership onto the famous Park Lane, where I have filmed many bits of video over the years. It's changed quite significantly recently though. This is what I liked about driving the M3 over in the US. It just feels quite lively. It's got that excitement to it. Say goodbye to the guys as we go past the showroom just here. How cool is this? How cool is this? I love it already. We are in central London, so there aren't all that many places. Oh, look at this actually. Just in front, I'm not sure if you can see what just appeared. There is a Ferrari SF90 Stradale. I was gonna say, we're basically in the heart of Mayfair, central London, car spotting territory, and immediately there's an SF90 Stradale. The Ferrari dealership is just around the corner, but also, interestingly, just around the corner is the new Centurion shop. I'm wearing my Centurion watch. Look at that. Look at that. How cool is that? And a Rolls-Royce Phantom just there as well, because central London, and that's the way these things go. So as we head down this way, I was gonna say the new Centurion shop is soon to open, which is just down here on the left. We'll be able to see it in a moment, which is kind of cool as well. Very excited to go and visit when the guys are all up and running. We can go see the Centurion keys and Centurion watches inside. Aston DB11 on my right, Rolls-Royce Dawn, Aston Maserati. It's just everywhere, nice cars. What do we have there? S63 convertible. So my first mile in the M3, we have seen kind of an overload of supercars already. This is mad. There are Taycans everywhere also. So many Taycans. Another thing I've spotted, and this is quite interesting, the Audi RS5 here in Sonoma green. That was effectively the launch colour of the RS5. This has launched in Isle of Man green. So there seems to be a thing about sporty German cars being launched in green these recent years. Unlike, say, picking up the GT4, given that this is a completely brand new car with 0 miles effectively on the clock, we have to follow the running in procedure, taking it very easily, driving very carefully, not using lots of revs, not using engine braking, not holding it at high speed, not doing all sorts of different things until we have the oil change service. There's a very strict procedure, as you'd probably imagine. The car has to get a service, and effectively when you've had that, after driving 1,000 or so miles, that is when you can unleash and drive a little bit more. So for the time being, we have stop start. We are driving in effectively standard settings. If I press the setup button, it brings up this display, and that's where you can play around with everything, including the M traction control. And we can also, at some point in the future, go into the M drift analyzer. Did I say that? And see how well the car with its computer records. That's something that's really annoying. The detector for the gesture control in here, in the M5 and M8 it works really well because there's a much wider center console, but in here I'm constantly turning it on already by mistake, which you can turn off, so I need to find that in the settings. It just doesn't work quite as smoothly as it does in the bigger BMW cars. So a small thing I picked up on. I noticed that with the M3 over in the US, and I've noticed it in this one as well. But it just feels quite lively and instantly exciting for a daily. You know, it is a daily car. It is a car that's fairly practical and fairly easy to drive and gentle and calm and quiet if you want it to be, but it has that spark to it as well, which is what we're going to explore so much of with this car now that it's in the garage. Unfortunately, almost immediately into a traffic jam, but there's an 812 Superfast over there at the hotel in TDF Blue, which is super nice. Do love the 812 and make no secret of that at all. Who knows, maybe that's one day to join. We'll have to see. Another 812 Superfast everywhere.
definitely the car of the day.
A quick pause here in the park, and you know, over the years I have probably brought nearly all of the Shmeemobiles at some point for some reason to be parked right here, and with the sun on this colour, it looks mega. I want to just pop open the bonnet quickly, talk about the engine for a second, but before we do, something to show you that we have right here are some of the new designs in the Cheers by Shmee 150 store. You might have seen these when I was filming the car out in the US. Of course, we've got the grills of the different generations, we've got all sorts of other options as well. Check those out at the Cheers by Shmee 150 store, and there are more to see there as well. Let me just pop this open very quickly and come round towards the front. Of course, the M3 Competition and the regular M3 have the 3-litre twin-power turbo inline 6. In this case, you get 510 horsepower and 550 newton meters. If you have the manual, you have slightly less, 480 horsepower and 450 newton meters, but not exactly bad. Quite a significant step up from the previous generations, and obviously looking completely immaculate and spotless. Right now, it has to be said, this will probably get dirty quite fast with the miles that are ahead. Let me close this back down. Shuts straight back into place, nice and easy. Anyway, let's continue the drive, and of course I just need to move some of those out of the way quickly, but do check them out if you're interested.
I had completely forgotten, but certainly have not missed, how much traffic there is in central London. You go from traffic light to traffic light. This car says since whenever the trip was reset, it's done 8.1 miles at an average of 4 miles per hour, which I feel is pretty much what we've just been doing for the last however long. Basically kind of crawling around. So this is like first drive, but we're not. Oh, Lambo, Gallardo Spider just crawled on through. This is not what I'm going to call the first drive. We're going to have a first drive that is not like this, but it wouldn't have been the most exciting in the world if I had literally driven 1 mile back home. I wanted on the day of collecting this car to drive it a little bit more than that. I tell you one thing you do notice though, just crawling around like this, is how quiet it is in here. Like, it's really very, very quiet. The M3, this happens from generation to generation, right? It's grown up from the previous gen, Aston Martin Park Lane, which is where my GT8 came from, but not where I collected my GT8. So I have technically bought a car from about a mile away from home before, but I collected it at Gaydon at the Aston Martin factory, so slightly different story on that one. But yeah, I wanted to drive the car more than literally 1 mile. What do we have on the other side of the Aston showroom? DBX, Vantages with the new grills, new bumpers that they have. Kind of spontaneous, sporadic car spotting, as you saw with the Gallardo that just crawled on past us. You never know what you're going to see when you're driving around here. Complete surprises everywhere. I'm just kind of eyes peeled. Rolls Royces, obviously. Rolls Royce Wraith is a completely standard car to see in central London. Yeah, we'll see if we find anything else, but otherwise head home. Audi R8 V10 Spider, original one, just like my old one actually. And a gold smart with a number plate, B1. That number plate is probably worth, well, more than this car, 100, 200,000 pounds, something like that, for a number plate on a gold chrome wrapped smart car. Another Rolls Royce Dawn cruising, roof down. Lovely afternoon for it, white leather interior. This is kind of back in the epicenter of London's supercar heartland. 488 Spider! Oh dear. You never know where you're going to see something interesting. Just every time you look around a corner, there's some kind of supercar waiting. Another Ferrari 812 Superfast. I'm not complaining because I love the Ferrari 812 Superfast, but they do seem to be on nearly every second street corner. That is a 911R. One of 991 that they made of the 901 911Rs. Very cool. You don't actually see many of them being used. Most of those are now properly in collector car category, not heading out for all that much. I tell you one thing that we do notice though, driving in this car, and it kind of makes sense because it's a brand new, latest generation BMW M3, is how many people are looking at it and presumably staring at the front grills. But the car in bright green, oh, Rolls-Royce Cullinan just pulled in front of us, is definitely attracting attention. Obviously I'm just going for a cruise around, but it's always interesting to notice what cars people spot and what cars they don't in the same way. Mustang 5-litre V8 with a GT350 style wing on the back. Mustangs of course are here now. I want to get my GT500 over, but it's going to be a little bit of a while. I tell you what else is funny, is that this has really been green car year in the Shmeemobiles. Taycan, wrap midnight green, GT500 in grabber lime, and M3 in Isle of Man green. 3 very different greens as well. The very dark of the Taycan, the very bright of the GT500, and the royal, middle, strong green, I don't know how to describe it, of this car. That'd be a cool photo if they're ever all together, which might happen later this year. Taycan and M3 will be in the garage when the GT500 comes over. That'd be kind of cool. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I think that is either a purple or a flip paint Aventador SVJ in the driveway just over there over my shoulder. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Like I said, you never know what is going to be lurking around a corner when you're here in London. A compulsory quick loop around to see that I wasn't going crazy. That is genuinely a flip paint SVJ. What a mental machine. And straight around the corner again, and in the traffic there is a 458 Spider. I had forgotten how many supercars there are in London as well. Everywhere. One of the beauties then, with this car having the 360 cameras, there might be a shortcut to this, but popping it into reverse, is that we have the camera view, which makes getting down these very narrow, difficult ramps without damaging your wheels that touch easier. Although I tell you what, this car is actually quite awkward. It does not have the best of turning circles to do that. Just have to always be very careful to not clip the rear wheel or the front splitter, because I don't quite know exactly how low it is yet. Anyway, we will come past the G63 where we've got the Cayman GT4, and we will pull this in and park it alongside. For the time being, the two new acquisitions then in the garage, parked side by side, two very different cars. In a moment, I will be taking the M3 down towards one of the lower levels, but it's fun to have them sitting side by side. Like I say, two very different cars because we've got the 4 or 5 seater and we've got the 2 seater, we've got a manual gearbox, we've got an auto, we've got the engine up front, we've got the engine, well, mid-engine, but towards the back, behind the occupants at least. Two very different cars, but two incredibly enjoyable, driver-focused, good cars to use. That for blasting down countryside lanes, that for a sporty daily drive, everyday kind of driving experience, and I'm looking forward to many miles with both. But a huge thanks to BMW Park Lane for the collection of this today. Great to finally take delivery. What an awesome experience as well from BMW to enable us to be able to see this car being assembled at the plant prior to now taking delivery. I've got some big plans ahead. I do think that I will be getting some PPF on this. I do not want that paint to get damaged. It looks so spectacular at the moment, so probably just gentle, slow speed driving until there is some degree of topaz paint protection film, at least on the front and the high impact areas like the sills and the mirror caps and that kind of thing. Maybe not the full coverage because of course the value of the car, you have to balance these things out, but it is certainly going to be staying in this color. I love it. I think it looks brilliant. It stands out a lot. I just think it suits the car. You know, when the previous M3 and M4 launched with the Aston Marina blue and the Austin yellow, those were bright and bold colors. Now again, we've got the Isle of Man green and the Sao Paulo yellow for the M4, although you can spec them the other way. You could have this in Sao Paulo yellow, and you can have this color also on the M4 should you wish, whatever, and of course other colors and various different bits and pieces. But I think this looks really good. Now, I've not gone crazy on the spec. I know the car obviously could have the carbon seats, it could have the full visual carbon exterior, and there are a few more tech things that it could have, but we have to be real world and sensible with the M3, of course. I know it's going to be in the garage for a year or two. It's not going to be a forever member of the collection, so being sensible, speccing it how I would like it, the things that are the most important to me, the headlights, for example, these wheels, this color, this interior, and I think it's going to suit that job really very, very well. So it's not going to be too long until these and all of the others can make their way over to the Museum, and that is going to be absolutely fantastic. For the time being though, I'm sure we'll have some updates with this very, very soon. But that is it for this time. Thank you very much guys for watching as always. Do of course check out the new designs to go along with the arrival of M3 in the garage that are available right now at the Cheers by Shmee 150 store. That's it for this time. Thanks again, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers!